So we have Toni Henry Renfro. Okay. Learned very early on in life. Your name is spelled Toni. All right. The female version.
That's correct. That's what they tell me.
Hey, when you're young and dumb like me, to put a Y on the end was kind of natural to do in 1991 or 2 or whatever when we met. 1991. So I've known you, whatever that is, 2000.
9 to me, 36 years.
All right.
30, yeah.
Something like that. Okay.
35, 35.
Yeah.
Something like
So, known you a long time. And I'd like you to give your story, starting with your wrong last name, given, or which is now your middle name.
you were Henry, where the Henry came from.
Your grandfather came to Ellis Island?
Yes.
From what country?
From Lebanon.
Lebanon. Okay.
He was with these, there were 3 of them. He has 2 brothers stayed in South America when they were on their way over, and he decided to come on to America. And when he got to Ellis Island, they said, "What's your John Henry?" He said, "John Ellis Ice." No, you're on Ellis Island. What is your John Henry? John Ellis Ice. And that went on and on and on, and finally he said, John Henry. They just weren't understanding each other.
So he becomes John Henry, and he moves where?
Well, I don't know if they lived in Oklahoma first or Kansas first, but when he and my grandmother got married, they had a wagon, and they were in Oklahoma and Kansas selling dry goods off of a wagon.
Gotcha. What are you more proud of, your Lebanese heritage or your Oklahoma heritage?
Well, I'm very proud of my Lebanese heritage. I told the triplets when they were born that I had the best Sitti in the world, because that's what I called her. It's grandma in Arabic, and I said, I have to be your Sitti. So,
okay, do you remember where she was from?
My grandmother.
Yeah, your grandmother. The Henry.
Yeah, from Lebanon.
Okay, they're both from Lebanon.
Oh, yeah.
So do they meet in New York, or do they?
No, they didn't. I don't think they met in New York. I think they met in the Midwest, but I don't know exactly. I never knew him. He was deceased when I was born.
Okay, but you knew her.
Oh, I spent my life with her.
Okay, and so this is all on your father's side.
Correct.
Okay, what about your mother's side?
Well, my parents were divorced, which was devastating, and I chose to live with them.
Common back there.
Oh, well, so
No, very uncommon.
Very uncommon.
Very uncommon.
And so anyway, my grandmother's grocery store was here, and the vacant lot in our house was next.
Okay, so she tells you about the covered wagon days, sewing out of a wagon in around up.
And so I spent a lot of time at the grocery store with her. So when my parents got divorced, I wanted to be with her.
Mm-hmm. So I wonder if they were ever part of the Oklahoma land rush.
I wish I knew the answer to that, but I don't.
Might be too far back.
I don't.
Okay, and so how did they end up in Wichita?
Well, I'm not absolutely certain of that, but she had several sisters and her mother, and they all ended up in Wichita. So a lot of them, there was a big group of them there, and there was a St. Mary's Greek Orthodox Church. And
what do you call it, a Lebanese community?
Yes,
in Wichita?
yes.
Okay.
And there were the Bays. They had a grocery store on Douglas and then all the person. And there were the name. There were the Stevens.
The Stevens family. They're today in Wichita. Okay. And
there's a lot of them.
So, you remember the address of the grocery store or the street?
16. Well, the house was 1624 South Seneca, so it would have been like 1620 or something like that.
South Seneca.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Harry and Seneca.
So that today is south of Kellogg, or the Highway 400.
Right.
Okay, south of that.
Right.
Okay. All right. And so, house and grocery store, and your dad was part of the business?
Yeah, he was the butcher.
Okay. And
he had a brother and a sister, and they were all in the grocery store. But my uncle had to go to the service, and my dad worked at the wasn't Boeing, it wasn't Beach, there was another where they did, so it exempted him, but he could be in the grocery store during the day and be a butcher and work there at night, so he didn't have to leave my grandmother with no one to help at the store.
Gotcha.
And then I could stand behind the candy counter and say, "May I help you, please?"
And the brother that left, did he return?
Yes.
Okay, so he was part of the...
Gene Henry, yes.
Part of the... Okay. And so let's go back to your very earliest memories of that grocery store. Put you to work at probably 4,
Well, 3 or 4.
5,
It's pretty little, yeah.
right? So working within the business, stacking shelves, that type of stuff.
And they had a big candy counter, and I always said, "May I help you please behind the candy counter?"
Okay.
In sack, you had the loose candy, and you could put it in a little sack for people.
So get on your.
And I can remember the drawer that pulled out where everybody had their name on it, where they charged everything.
So, not that we're talking about your history today, what you've seen in life, growing up, and experiences from your family and what you've learned. So not to turn this political, but I've heard, one of the biggest tragedies in this country is children labor laws, and you kind of have to be 16 today to get a job. And I know a lot of mature 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds that could wait on me at a restaurant.
Well, I think experience of any kind of business there's nothing to be said. It's invaluable.
Exactly.
To learn to meet people, to learn to be polite, to learn to say, "How can I help you? If you can't find something, can I help you find it?" All those things.
So didn't your grandmother own the whole block?
Well, there was the grocery store. She owned the vacant lot. Then she owned we owned our house. Then she had 3 duplexes. Then she had a filling station beyond that. And then on down further south on the other side of the street, she had a farm. And then on North Market, she had 2 fourplexes.
So what did she raise on the farm? Produce for the grocery store?
I think she rented the farm out. I think she owned it, but I don't think we ever lived out there.
Okay, rented it out. And so she was the CEO, sort of.
Correct.
Of all of that.
Correct.
And
with a 4th grade education.
With the 4th grade education, did any of your family work at the fuel station? Or
no, somebody else owned the fuel station. She owned the station, but somebody else ran it.
And were her tenants random, or were they often from the Lebanese?
No, they weren't necessarily from the Lebanese community. Most of the Lebanese people in Wichita, like the E.G. Stevens, were in the tobacco and candy wholesale. Her sister had a retail women's store on Douglas, right off of Douglas and Seneca. The Namies had a grocery store on the north end of town. They were most of them were in some kind of a business.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. And so did you ever experience fear in those junior high or teenage years? So, in other words, a gunman never showed up to rob your store?
No.
Okay. So much safer time.
Oh, yeah.
The greatest time in the country, maybe. 50s,
yeah.
60s.
Well, like I said, we certainly weren't rich, but I never wanted for anything.
So what year were you born?
37. Right?
1937. And so what's your first recollection of World War II?
I just remember, people talking about it, and it was bad, and that Uncle Gene had to go, and they didn't want him to go, and praying for him to come home safe. And, we didn't have television then.
So fast forward to Korean War.
Mm-hmm.
How did that affect you? Any family members?
No, didn't have any family members that I can recall.
I got you. Okay. So you went to high school where?
I went to Wichita West.
Wichita West, which is still
second graduating class at West.
Second. Okay. What's the mascot for West? I've seen it.
Pioneers.
Pioneers. Okay. So you went to West High School and then naturally just went into Wichita State University.
I did.
Okay. And you got a degree in teaching?
In education.
Okay. And did you ever teach?
I taught. I observed at Franklin School, did my practice teaching at Franklin School, and he hired me to be a teacher this year I graduated.
Elementary or high school?
Elementary, kindergarten.
Kindergarten. So you were a kindergarten teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then
I have never applied for a job in my life.
Okay.
Principal there hired me. Every job somebody's come out and said, "Toni, would you do this?" And one day it occurred to me, I've never applied for a job. Somebody was talking about doing all this applying, and I thought, weird.
Yeah. So while you're at Franklin Elementary School, so where did Dick Renfro come in?
Okay, I was a senior at Wichita State,
Okay.
and Dick had graduated. He's 3 years older, and he was working at Boeing in the finance department.
Okay.
And one of my very dearest friends, Martha Lynn Budd, was dating Mike Maloney, and they wanted to fix us up, and he didn't want to go, and neither did I. We kept putting them off. And Martha Lynn and I were in a wedding November 1st, and there was a wedding rehearsal and a party afterwards at the Elric house. And so Bob and Dick were going to pick us up there. And so we met on a blind date, and he didn't want to go, and neither did I. But we went, we had a really good time, and the next night was the wedding. And I still don't figure out to this day how he got a hold of me that night at the Wichita Country Club reception, because we didn't have cell phones.
Yeah.
But somehow he called me and said, after the reception, do you want to go out to the Stardust?
So he was on his landline at home.
No, well, I don't know where he was, because I found out later in life that he had a date and taken a girl to the Wichita State football game that night.
Okay, so he went and saw Wichita State play with another female. And you remember her name?
I didn't know that I just knew it.
All right.
I didn't know that for you.
Calls you up. So after the wedding, he didn't attend the wedding.
I don't know that he went to the wedding.
Right, because it's a football game.
Yeah, he wasn't at the wedding. He called me at the reception.
He knew the bride and groom, or not?
Not really.
Really? Okay.
You wasn't in that because I didn't know him and he didn't know our friends.
So did you catch up afterwards?
Well, like I said, the next night I'm at the reception and he called me. We went out the next night.
You went out the next night.
Yeah,
okay.
After the reception.
Gotcha. Okay. So, and where was that date?
We went out to the Stardust to dance.
Okay. Stardust, and is that still around today?
I think it is still there.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
It's a dance hall.
Well, it was a nightclub.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And then how?
We were the better ones in Salina, which was nice place.
Yeah. So how many months or weeks did you date before he proposed to you?
Oh, I don't know how many, but we saw each other a lot right after that. I mean, he bowled one night a week, and anyway, we saw each other a lot.
Okay.
And that was November, and by December we were thinking about getting married.
Gotcha. Okay. So you met what month?
We actually met November 1st or October 31st, the night of the rehearsal before the wedding.
Your birthday months, right?
Right.
And then within 2 months, you're talking about being married. Okay. And so what year were you married?
59.
59. And how long did you stay in Wichita after 1959?
Well, he was working at Boeing, and a good friend of his was with IBM and wanted him to go to work for IBM. And so he left Boeing and joined IBM, and IBM.
Now let's talk about what Boeing looked like in 1959. You could imagine the planes, but a little bit. But IBM, you're talking about the one computer that's as big as this office floor.
Right.
Okay.
And IBM had sold all the banks in Salina but one. And they wanted
sold their services to the banks.
Right. And so they wanted Dick to go and make sure that last bank got IBM.
Okay.
So he came to Salina. And when he came to Salina to rent an office, Dan Boland, or Pat Dolan's dad, owned Sunset Plaza and rented him a space. And from the time he met Dick, he was after him to get him to go to work at the bank. He was on the board at the bank at the time at UMB. So it
was at UMB, National Bank of America.
Yeah, it was
right?
NBA.
NBA, right? Then NBA, then Hoffman family.
Correct.
And so it's Pat Boland or Pat Boland's dad.
Pat Boland's dad.
So Dan,
he had a real estate company here in Salina.
Right. Got him to finally go to work for the bank. So how long was he with IBM? A very short amount of time.
Let's see. We came. I think I can't remember. It was a year or two. But he was after Dick, and Dick, actually, his parents were older because he was an afterthought. His sisters were 11 and 14 years older than he was, and they lived in Hutchinson. And he went to Wichita and told his boss at Wichita. I said, I think I'm going to take this job at the bank. My folks are there. My sisters, one in Louisiana, one's in Boston. days, and Dick, you can stay in Wichita. You can do it. We're not going to move you. Because with IBM, is if you were getting ahead, it was I've been moved, and you were promoted, and that I've been moved. And so we knew that if he was going to get ahead, we were going to have to move somewhere. And the guy said, we won't let you stay in Salina as long as you want. If you don't want to move and go to Kansas City or whatever, Chicago. But to get ahead with IBM, we were going to have to move. And he turned it, he went and told him that twice, and they talked him out of it twice. And finally, he accepted the job at the National Bank of America.
Gotcha.
The Hoffman family. And everybody said when he was hired, well, you know, you're never going to be president with all these Hoffman boys. But he did become president. And the Hoffman family was very good to Dick and really thought he did fine for him.
You're skipping a lot of years. So.
True.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Had you been, how old were you the first time you ever boarded a plane and flew anywhere?
I don't know.
Child? Grade school, high school, or was it?
That's a good question. I don't remember the first time. My dad, we had an appliance store, and he did junkets to Aruba, and I did a lot of things, but I can't remember how young I would have been.
We skipped a lot there. Did your dad eventually sell the grocery store?
Oh, yeah, they sold the grocery store, and he went in.
Sold all the property eventually. Okay, and he went into the hardware store.
Well, he had an appliance store. He had a cigar lunch counter downtown in Wichita. My dad had a lot of businesses, and then he took junkets to Vegas.
Gotcha. As in,
he was the organizer at 10 people. So he was the organizer. He took a plane full of people, and so he's got big connections with all the hotels in Vegas.
What are you referencing as junkets?
That's what they called them.
Okay.
Vegas junkets.
Weekend trips to Vegas. Mm-hmm. Okay. So
2 or 3 days.
Almost a travel agent.
Yeah. Well,
tour guide or what?
Yeah, right. They just
trip facilitator.
They called them junkets, and that's what he would do. He'd take junkets.
Gotcha.
Vegas.
Very interesting. Right, so you're in Salina now. What year is it again?
Well, we moved here in 1967.
Okay.
And it was probably 1969, I think, when Dick went to work for the bank, but I'm not positive.
You had 2 children. So
I had all 3.
All 3. So all 3 were born in Wichita.
All 3 were born in Wichita. Yep.
All 3 were born in Wichita.
They were born in 60, 61, and 64.
Okay. 66, 64.
Came here in 67.
Robin, you're 3 boys. So did you?
We came earlier. Clark wasn't 3 yet. He was 2 when we moved here.
Okay. Did you ever teach in Salina?
No, I did not. And I don't think I even substituted here.
Okay. So your last job was at Franklin Elementary?
I did some substituting at Wichita.
Okay. As well. You get here, and Dick gets the job at the bank. And what was his
title?
Yeah, his first job.
I think it was assistant vice president. I think it might have just been vice president.
Okay. So loan officer?
Mm-hmm.
Probably. Okay. Gotcha. Remember what his starting salary was then?
I don't. I wish I could, but I don't.
Well, that's more of that's not being nosy. That's more of an inflation.
Mm-hmm. Right.
If you had, you have 2 great jobs back then that paid $12,000 a year, right?
Right.
And so he's at the bank. And then what year were you approached to get into the financial business?
Well, first what happened is the Downtown Merchants Association came out to the house one day and wanted to know if I'd be the head of the Downtown Merchants Association. They said, Toni, we know you don't want to work. You only have to come to the board meeting. You have your own secretary. You can work whenever you want to and just promote downtown. And so I was I said, okay, I'd try it.
What year was that?
That was...
Early 70s.
And so I was forming a benefit district, and I was going around calling on people. And when I called on Bill Knox, he said, who prepared your presentation? I said, well, I prepared it myself, Bill. Who do you think prepared it? He said, I want you to go to work for me. I said, oh, really? He said, yeah, you'd be really good in this business. So he convinced me to try it. So I did both for about, I don't know how long I did. And so I finally gave up my job at the Downtown Merchants Association.
Okay, so let's talk about what did Salina look like then? Would you say you stepped into a thriving downtown that went into the toilet.
Well, it was money, but then that was right before the malls and everything built. You know, we've gone full circle.
So that was a big deal. Salina Downtown Merchants was a big deal. So who were some of the players back then and the personalities?
Well, Clyde was the head of
Clyde's
Penny's. Clyde Barnes, I believe.
Penny's was downtown.
Penny's was downtown.
Okay.
And the guy in Stevens Sons was downtown. And there was a guy that had a men's store, and I know him as well as I knew myself, and I can see his face and his wife.
Harold.
No, but Harold. But I was involved with Harold a lot. The store's there no longer there, but it was a thriving men's store. And then of course the Carols had Carols downtown.
So it was all shaking.
And I knew a lot of them, and some of them went to our church. So anyway, they said, Tony, you can do this job as whenever you want to. We don't care as long as you come to the board meeting, and you have your own secretary and you work it out.
So what would you call a drama at that time?
Well,
now it'd be what somebody said to you about you on social media. There's drama there. What was some fun?
I really don't recall. I mean, I got along well with all the merchants, and like I said, I felt good about what I was doing, and it seemed to be working. And
still living in a town that you didn't lock your doors at night.
I'm afraid that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my boys said the other day, I don't think we even locked him at night. And I said, I don't know about that. But, Dick's dad was at the reformatory in Hutchinson, and he was a pretty safety guy.
Okay.
So,
and said he had a career there. Okay.
Yeah.
When you say was it the reformatory?
Yeah, well, he worked at the reformatory for many years. When his dad, they came from Offerly, Kansas.
Now, what you're referring to is the prison, right?
Mm-hmm, the prison. I said the reformatory, the prison. But his dad, he and another guy, he worked outside for the post office. The guy worked inside the post office, and they just switched jobs.
Gotcha.
So they came to Hutchinson, and they went to this church, and one of the guys in the church built houses, and his dad became an electrician and did a lot of that on the side for this friend in the church that was a contractor.
Gotcha. Was your mother-in-law easy to get along with?
My in-laws were the most wonderful Christian people I've ever met in my life. They were wonderful, wonderful people. No, I never had a problem. They treated me royally.
That's awesome. That's a thing in this country, mother-in-law, father-in-laws, daughter-in-laws. Got it easy there.
Oh, it was. And, my Lebanese heritage and my Orthodox heritage, they didn't want me to marry Dick. And when my grandmother Cynthia invited them for dinner, I knew we'd made it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Remember what you had that night to eat?
I don't know. We probably had fried chicken. Maybe had some Lebanese food. I don't know. But my grandmother's fried chicken was tough to beat.
Gotcha. So you're hearing you remember the year that Bill Knox approached you and you started working part-time?
Well, it had to be early 70s. I can't remember. I would say, I should know, and I'm sorry to say it's really poor. 71, 2, maybe even 3, but something. It's got to be right in there. I could go find stuff.
Yeah. That's all right.
Just dig it up.
So how has this business changed from?
Well, with being with Waddell and Reed for 18 years and then coming with you, it would change. That's an understatement. But the thing about being with Waddell and Reed is different than with us. When you met people that had nothing or didn't, or a lot of people know how to make money, but they don't know what to do with it. They don't really know what their choices are. And to help somebody that only has $25, $50, $100 a month to save and help them get somewhere is very gratifying.
Right.
Yeah. Very gratifying. And they're usually very appreciative.
Right. Well, for the record, I always give, when I give my short history of wealth in this country, it kind of depends whether you're in the Midwest versus a large city, but, just the dream of owning a home, and you accumulated your wealth in the home, and then you worked for that Social Security check in the end, and that Social Security check was going to be enough for lots of pensions and things like that. that you were in a generation that was accumulating wealth,
Right.
the type that were managing that.
Well, like I said, Dell and Reed, like I said, I worked with all kinds of people, not only the people that didn't have a lot, but I had a lot of friends and a lot of clients that had, more money, and they were very loyal and very good, and you look back and just things have changed so much since then, but it was a good experience.
Mm-hmm.
I I learned and I love people and I like helping people. I'm an honest person. And
So when did you start becoming a world traveler? Was that while your kids were still in high school, or were they gone by the time you started?
That's a good question, Twin. I've been on a lot of trips and I love to travel. And Dick would always, he'd either go or he'd say, honey, if you want to go ahead and go. I ain't going. Because he was very happy not to go. But someplace I saw recently where he went with me on at least 16 countries. So I guess I can't complain too bad.
Okay, so you went to at least 16.
Mm-hmm.
So how many do you think you've been to? Double that?
Probably.
Yeah. What's
one, like when I went to the Holy Land, his mother went with me.
Gotcha. Wow. So what stands out as the greatest place you've ever been?
There really is anything that really stands out. When I went to the Holy Land, I really wanted to go to Lebanon. And we could get 60 miles with it, but then Syria as close as we could get. Mm-hmm. And it was wonderful to have gone to the Holy Land and go to those places and to go to Egypt and see the pyramids. But I've enjoyed, seeing everything that I've seen, in the Eiffel Tower in Paris and the Normandies and, the waterways in Alaska. I mean, I love it all. It's exciting. This is beautiful scenery. And, people are wonderful, but the scenery also touches the soul. You look out, well, even in my backyard, if I'm on my deck and it's a beautiful night, and nothing better.
Yeah. So, what are your greatest memories of your career or Dick's career, and who are some of the people you met along the way that?
I wish I could remember the name of this guy in the East. Dick Wish. Yeah, well, Bill was a good. Bill and Pat were good friends, and Jeff Knox, was helpful with the triplets, and so there's a lot of connection there. But Dick had a lot of friends that he met. He went to Rutgers to get, and he met some people back there when he went to Rutgers at that business school thing, and Dick had a lot of awards too with IBM and trips and bank, and we went to Colorado to the Broadmoor, and Dick and I had a lot of good times together, but he met so many people, and I can't even right now my mind is blank. I can't even think of this one particular guy's name, but a lot of famous people and good people, and I when I run into people, they'll say, "Well, you probably don't know this, but I worked for Dick at a certain time, or I met Dick at this meeting."
Yeah,
he was. They have nothing but good things to say about Dick Renfro.
So, approximately how many K-State losses have you seen in your life?
I don't know. We've had season football and basketball tickets for over 50 years. So
over 50 years. So when you come back to, you came to Salina, you'd been to K-State already, working in Wichita. How long did it take you to purchase season tickets? Was it just the two of you before kids?
No.
Start after the kids.
Well, we had the kids when we got here, so no, it was
true.
So no, we started out with 5 season tickets.
Okay, 5 season tickets for football and basketball.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And we had 4 down here for the boys, and then he and I had chairbacks, and it was the one row behind. The chairbacks were here, and the next row was where their tickets were initially.
Could have helped me remember the dates you just given me. Could have that started as early as 68, or was that more like?
I think it was closer to 70.
Yeah, I met a few people. One comes to mind.
Even if it was 75, that would be 50 years.
Yeah.
So it's someplace in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I know a gentleman that I think.
And Dick Renfro
years in 58, but so did he ever miss a football game?
Not that I should know. Not that I can remember. He
So
And he was on the alumni board, and he was on the athletic board, and he did a lot of things for K-State. And I tell you, I don't think there'd be K-State Salina if it wasn't for Dick Renfro.
Let's talk about that next. But to stick with, so from 75 to about 90, and then here comes Bill Snyder, and Dick was able to enjoy a lot of wins.
Right.
Basketball was actually
And bowl
they
games,
were winning when he
bowl
got there.
games that they never heard of before.
Yeah, yeah. Did he? He made a lot of bowl games probably until recently, didn't he? Yeah. So yeah, let's talk about. We're supposed to talk about you on this deal, but his
Easy to talk about.
his service to Salina. Name all the boards he served on.
Oh, I don't think I can. You know, he was on another bank board in
First,
McPherson.
is he ever on the hospital board here?
He was not on the hospital board. He was, of course, out at St. John's. He was involved, and oh gosh, he was on so many. It seemed like that's all he did was get up and go to early morning board meetings.
So when you say, how did let's talk about getting K-State Salina here.
Well, when they first tried to do it, it failed,
Mm-hmm.
and he worked his baby. He was bound determined it was going to happen. Kind of like Clark, Clark got those tennis courts built, and he worked so hard to raise money. And Dick said to him, "Clark, you have a job." And I wanted to say, yeah. And I remember somebody else that worked so hard on a few other things when they had a job too. But I know where he got it.
Yeah, and so yeah, that's very interesting. So so you were a business owner. You owned your own financial
Right,
services,
that's
right?
true.
All right.
That's right.
And here it'd be a fun thing. What appalls you today? What's your concern for this country?
Oh my! Well,
Fun one. We just had lunch together, and you kind of went off in there. If you want to,
well, I just think, first of all, I mean, our government is in such a mess, and you and I are in the financial. We would not let anybody get to the position that the government's in, and to me, it's a travesty. I mean, we're supposedly the richest country in the world and the best country, and everybody wants to come to America. And for them to say that our credit's going to be lowered because we have, I mean, to me, it's just ludicrous.
It's beyond ridiculous.
Oh.
It will pass so fast. It's not even worth talking about.
Well, I can't understand how you can have senators and you can have congressmen and all those people are supposedly smart that nobody would ever stand up and say, "Now, wait a minute, are we going overboard here? Maybe we better pull in the reins just a little bit."
Right. Yeah.
And then when you have all these people that want to come to this country, and if we let the immigrants come in and we're not even taking care of our own people, that is really a sore spot with me.
Right. Yeah. So
You better take care of your own first.
So from the time your children were born until you become a grandmother, that was not a normal Kansas time frame.
Probably not.
All right. So yeah,
A lot of people that are.
a lot of times you're a grandparent by 40 in this state.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
Go to metros and other places. They don't even think about getting married and having a family. But that's still going on here in Kansas. And have your first by 20, and their kids have their first by 20. And so, I don't know if you remember when they were when you first got them, we'd reference some of those. We'd slip up and say the three twins. Do you remember that? Oh, we couldn't.
People say twins all the time. I know they're triplets.
In the three twins.
So, yeah, right.
Couldn't get
People,
triplets
it happens a lot.
wrapped around.
You know. Well, but I mean, people just don't think of triplets. I mean, serious. I mean, they are pretty rare.
So anyway, and they are all off to K-State.
They are. Claire made the decision first that she was going to go, and she was going to go through Rush. And the other two really wanted a tennis scholarship, and they've been offered tennis scholarships, but not where they wanted to go. So now they've committed to going to K-State and walking on.
Yeah. They don't want to go to Bethel College and Navy or
I guess not.
Emporia State or Hayes.
Well, they didn't tell me where all they were offered, but anyway, I tell you, they're hardworking young ladies and they work at it. So
even if it was Memphis State, it's hard to.
Well, Mallory said.
Move away from.
Well, no, Mallory said, "Mom, I think maybe I want to go someplace where there's a beach." She said, "Oh, really, Mallory?" She said, Yeah, what about Florida and what about Hawaii and what about California? And what her mother said, "Oh, really, Mallory?"
Mhm.
No, she's not going.
So I suppose a man will come along and split them up eventually.
I don't know. I want her to be happy and healthy.
It'd be hard to
It'll be interesting.
go different directions.
Yep. Yeah.
So when you're that close.
And they're all individuals though, for sure.
Yeah. So the couple final questions. If you had to do life all over again, what would you do different?
I just
More of or less?
I just thank the Lord that Martha Lennon and Bob wanted Dick and I to get up and go together, and we didn't want to go. But that one decision is my whole life.
Yeah.
That's my whole life. And we've had our ups and downs like all families, but I couldn't have asked for a better man
Right.
and a husband and a friend and sweetheart, lover, you name it. He was great.
Yeah. We don't have to get too deep here. and
You can believe it.
so if you could, so how about with the three boys? If you could go back and do anything over again,
You know, they're
kind of.
yeah, they're such individuals. You know, Craig's the oldest. He's got all the
That's not fair
chapters.
to ask about kids because you know it's kids are kids.
Kids are kids, but I mean, Craig has the oldest characteristics. Carrie has all the middle ones, and Clark probably has all the youngest. Except
But they are all
they've all done well.
three kind gentlemen for
They
sure.
are kind gentlemen. They are thoughtful. And
All of them.
yeah, and Carrie has never been married, and he thinks half the kids he's had in school are his. I mean, he treats them like they need something. He's going to take care of them.
Yeah. So, all righty. Well, thank you, Toni Renfro.
You are more than welcome. Probably more than you ever wanted to know.
We are done.
So